The night my husband kicked me out, the sky itself felt heavy, thick clouds pressing low as if they were trying to suffocate the whole city. Rain clung to the air without falling, making everything stick to my skin, my hair, my clothes, my fear. I stood outside our gate with only a backpack slung over one shoulder and my heart beating so hard it felt like it might tear through my chest. His words still echoed in my ears. "Get out, leave my house, leave my life." Not shouted, whispered, cold, final, like a judge passing a sentence. I hadn't seen it coming. That was the worst part. One minute I was setting the table for dinner, talking about a new job opportunity, and the next he was throwing my clothes into the hallway, accusing me of things that didn't even make sense. His eyes were full of anger. Anger I couldn't recognize, anger that wasn't mine. I begged him to talk to me, not to forgive, just to talk. But he turned his back as if I wasn't even human to him anymore. When the door slammed behind me, the sound cut deeper than any insult. It was the sound of a life ending. I walked away slowly at first, in disbelief. Each step felt like walking on broken glass. My home, our home, was now just a building behind me, and I wasn't welcome in it. The streetlights flickered as I passed under them, and I kept wiping my face, unsure if it was tears or the humid air. Maybe both. My phone buzzed. I thought for a moment it might be him, an apology, a call to come back. But it was a bank alert. My balance, 486 rupees. 486. Not even enough for one night in a cheap hostel. I laughed. Not a happy laugh, a broken, empty one that came from exhaustion and disbelief. I had nothing. Literally nothing. I wandered until my feet ached. The city looked different at night when you had nowhere to go. Every cafe felt too bright, every bench too exposed, every shadow too threatening. I kept checking my bag again and again, as if something helpful might magically appear inside it. There was only one thing inside I hadn't touched in years. My father's old bank card. It was tucked inside a small leather pouch he had given me before he died. I didn't even know why I carried it. Maybe because it was the last physical thing I had from him. Maybe because letting it go would feel like losing him all over again. I pulled it out and stared at it under a streetlight. The name printed on it felt unreal. His name, his legacy, his memory. I whispered to myself, this card must be expired, right? Yet something inside me, something desperate, whispered back, try it. The nearest bank branch was closed, but the ATM outside was lit. The soft humming sound seemed almost inviting, like a mechanical guardian waiting for instructions. I stood there for a long moment, before sliding the card in. My hands were trembling so much the machine asked me to re-enter my PIN twice. And somehow, miraculously, unbelievably, the old PIN worked. The screen blinked. Processing. My heart stopped. This shouldn't be happening. The card should be expired. The account should be closed. Something should go wrong. Instead, something went very, very right. The ATM suddenly froze for a second, as though confused. Then it started beeping loudly, much louder than normal. I looked around, startled. Why was it making that sound? Then the screen flashed red. Please wait. Assistance required. Assistance? For what? I stepped backward, panic rising in my throat. Then a security guard rushed out of the bank, talking rapidly into his walkie-talkie. Sir, she's here? Yes, she just used the card. I blinked. Sir? Who was he talking to? Before I could run, the guard stood in front of me, not threatening, but stiff, formal. Ma'am, he said carefully, please don't be alarmed. We've been instructed that if this card is ever used, the branch manager must be notified immediately. My stomach dropped. Why? Why would a simple card from my father cause such panic inside a whole bank? And then he added something that made my blood run cold. Ma'am, your father left strict instructions. We've been waiting for this moment. I felt the world tilt beneath my feet as the bank doors unlocked from the inside, and 3 people rushed out toward me. The bank doors opened wide as if they were expecting royalty, not a tired woman standing barefoot on wet pavement with a broken backpack strap digging into her shoulder. 3 people stepped out, a security supervisor, a middle-aged woman in a navy sari, and a tall man in a crisp suit who looked far too serious for the time of night. For a moment, none of them spoke. They just looked at me. The suited man finally stepped forward. "Ma'am, please come inside. We need to talk." I took a half step back. "I didn't do anything wrong. I just tried to check the account. It's probably a mistake. The card shouldn't even work." The woman in the sari smiled gently, the kind of smile meant to soothe a frightened child. "You're not in trouble. We've been instructed to assist you the moment this card is used. Please, come in. It's important." Important. That word hit me harder than anything. Nothing about my life had felt important lately. I was homeless, humiliated, unwanted. The idea that anyone wanted to assist me sounded suspiciously like a prank. "Who instructed you?" I asked warily. The man exchanged a glance with the other employees. "Your father, ma'am. He left very specific directions." My breath caught in my throat. My father had been gone for almost 6 years. His death had been sudden, brutal, a shock that cracked my life in half. He had been a quiet man, private, one who rarely explained things. And now these strangers were telling me he'd left instructions, for me, triggered by the use of a card I had forgotten existed. I didn't know whether to walk inside or run away, but the night outside felt too cold, too cruel, and my body was trembling from exhaustion. Inside, the lights were warm and steady, so I nodded. The moment I entered the bank, the door clicked shut behind me. Not locked, just closed, but it still made my heart jump. The lobby was painfully bright, exposing every tear stain, every wrinkle in my clothes, every sign that I had been thrown out of my own home like trash. I crossed my arms instinctively, trying to hide myself. They led me to a small meeting room, one of those glass-walled offices meant for loan discussions or private consultations. Someone hurriedly placed a tray of water, tea, and biscuits in front of me. As if I was a VIP. I sat, confused and overwhelmed. The suited man sat across from me. "My name is Mr. Dar. I'm the branch manager. Before we proceed, I need to confirm your identity." I nodded numbly and handed him my ID. He matched the name on the ID with the one on the card. His expression softened instantly. "Yes," he murmured, "you're his daughter." Something in the way he said his made my skin prickle. "What is all this?" I whispered. "My father never told me anything about instructions." Mr. Dar opened a file that had been sitting on the table as if it had been waiting for me for years. A thick envelope was inside. On the front, to be opened only by my daughter upon her first use of my card, in my father's handwriting. My hands shook as he slid the envelope toward me. But before I touched it, I had to ask, why did the machine panic? Why did the whole bank react like this? The woman in the sari, who had been silent until now, answered softly, "Because your father was not an ordinary account holder, and this account is not an ordinary account." I let out an incredulous laugh. My father was a mechanic. He fixed cars. He wasn't rich or famous. They exchanged looks again, looks that made me feel like I was the clueless one. Mr. Dar cleared his throat and opened his laptop. "Ma'am, your father had multiple identities. As a customer, he requested absolute confidentiality. We were legally forbidden to disclose anything unless this card was used." He turned the laptop toward me. On the screen was an account summary. Not numbers, digits, big digits, too many digits. I stared at the balance. I blinked. I stared again. It couldn't be real. It didn't look real. It looked like the kind of number you only see in movies or corruption scandals. "This isn't possible," I whispered, my throat tightening. "My father didn't have money. He didn't even own a car." Mr. Dar's voice was gentle. "Your father had a life you didn't know, and he prepared something for you, something he believed you would one day need." My eyes burned with tears, because tonight, I needed everything. I needed a miracle, a lifeline, anything to hold on to. And now this impossible truth was sitting in my hands. I touched the envelope. The paper felt old, soft, almost warm. I imagined my father sealing it, imagining this moment, thinking of me. "Inside," the manager said, "is a letter and instructions. He left you not just money, but responsibilities." The room suddenly felt too small, too bright, too real. Responsibilities? For what? I swallowed hard. slipped a finger under the flap, and slowly opened the envelope. The room fell completely silent as I pulled out the first page. It was my father's handwriting, and the first sentence made my entire world tilt. If you are reading this, it means you are in danger. My father's handwriting had always been neat and confident, each letter carved with patience. But tonight, the lines seemed heavier, almost urgent, like he wrote them knowing time was running out. My hands trembled as I read the next line, my heart pounding so loudly I could barely hear my own breath. If you are reading this, it means you are in danger. Danger? The only danger I knew was the one waiting at home, my husband's betrayal, his cruelty, the humiliation he threw at me like stones. But what danger was my father talking about? My eyes continued down the page. There are things about our family you were never told, not because I wished to keep you ignorant, but because I wished to keep you alive. A shiver ran through me. The bank room suddenly felt colder, the lights too bright, like the truth was about to explode in my face. I read on. The money you see in this account does not belong to criminals, nor to corruption. It is the remaining amount of a fund I managed under a different identity for a group of people who trusted me with their lives. When I realized my life was in danger, I hid the funds and erased my name. I left everything to you because I had no one else I could trust. I stared at the words, stunned. My father, a simple mechanic, involved in something this big? No, not involved. Protecting, hiding, running. I inhaled sharply, gripping the edge of the table. The letter continued. There are men who believe this money still exists and that you may know where it is. If your husband has turned against you, it may not be coincidence. Be extremely careful. Tell no one about this account, not even the bank staff helping you now. They can assist you only with access, but the truth must remain hidden. I lifted my eyes instinctively, glancing through the transparent glass walls toward the staff watching over me. Suddenly, even their kindness felt heavy, dangerous. The next paragraph was worse. Your husband was approached months ago. I suspected it, which is why I left this card for you. I knew eventually the pressure would reach him, or he would give in. If he forced you out, if he hurt you, it was not out of anger. It was out of fear or obedience to the wrong people. My throat tightened. My husband's strange behavior, the sudden coldness, the unexplained phone calls, the hidden text messages, it all surged back like a wave crashing into me. So he wasn't just cheating. He wasn't just cruel. He was involved in something dangerous, something that now had its eyes on me. The letter continued, the handwriting growing more shaky, as if my father wrote this part quickly. There is a safety box connected to this account. Inside, you will find documents that explain who is after the money and why they will not stop. Take the key from the envelope and access the box immediately. Time is not your ally. My pulse hammered in my ears. I reached into the envelope and felt something cold, metallic. A tiny golden key, smooth, heavy, old. My father had planned everything down to this moment. My breath quickened as I read the next line. Once you collect the documents, do not return home. Do not contact your husband. Go somewhere safe. Someone will come for you within 48 hours, someone I trust. Until then, you must protect yourself. My vision blurred with tears as the final words stared up at me. I am sorry I am not there to guide you, but know this, my daughter, you are stronger than you think. Survive, and trust no one. I pressed the letter to my chest, a broken sob escaping my lips. Everything I thought I knew about my father, my marriage, my life, had just shattered into 1,000 sharp pieces. I wasn't just a rejected wife anymore. I wasn't a broken woman thrown out like garbage. I was the last living link to a secret worth millions, maybe billions. A secret men were already willing to lie, cheat, and kill for, and now they would come for me. I closed my eyes, wiped my tears, and tightened my grip on the key. Whatever lay ahead, I had no choice but to face it, because my father's final message echoed in my mind like a warning siren. Trust no one. The key felt colder the longer I held it, as if it carried its own warning. I closed the envelope carefully and looked up. Mr. Dar and the two employees were standing just outside the glass walls, watching me with quiet curiosity. They didn't know what was written in the letter, and they couldn't. My father's warning echoed like thunder in my mind. Tell no one. Trust no one. Taking a steadying breath, I stepped out of the meeting room. "Ma'am, is everything all right?" the woman in the navy sari asked gently. Her voice was soft, but suddenly every soft voice felt suspicious. "Yes," I said, forcing a smile. "I just need access to the safety box mentioned in his instructions." He left a key. The branch manager's eyebrows rose. "Ah, the private vault." The private vault. His tone was enough to tell me this wasn't a normal box where people stored jewelry or land papers. "This way, please." He led me down a quiet corridor. The walls changed. Smooth beige panels replaced the usual bank decor. The lighting dimmed slightly, and the air felt colder, heavier. When we reached the end, he pressed his thumb to a biometric scanner. Multiple locks clicked softly, like metal tapping out a secret rhythm. The vault door opened. The room beyond was small, silent, windowless. Not a normal locker room. This looked like a place where people hid the kinds of secrets governments feared. Rows of private boxes lined the walls like tombstones. "Box 17, Mr. Dar said, pointing to one in the corner. "Your father reserved it exclusively for you." I swallowed. "Thank you. I'll handle it alone." He hesitated. "Of course, call if you need assistance." He stepped back, leaving me alone in the vault. The door closed quietly behind him. Suddenly the silence felt alive, pressing against my ears. I inserted the key. My hands trembled so badly I almost dropped it. The lock turned with a heavy metallic clink. The small door opened smoothly, like it had been waiting years for my touch. Inside was a thick black folder, a flash drive, and a small sealed envelope with my name on it. Just my name. I pulled the folder out first. It was heavier than I expected. I sat on the small bench and opened it. The first page wasn't a letter. It was a photograph. 4 men shaking hands outside a government building. My father was one of them. Except, he didn't look like a mechanic, not even remotely. He wore a dark suit, clean-shaven, serious, confident, like someone used to giving orders, not fixing engines. I flipped to the next page. Reports, names, secret exchanges, locations, dates, money trails. Things I didn't understand, things I shouldn't understand. Then a chilling page. Known threats. Under it, photos of people I'd never seen, until I reached the last one. My husband. My breath hitched. His picture was printed beside a description. Contact established, highly vulnerable, potential to be used. Used? By who? For what? I flipped faster, hands sweating. I reached a page detailing a group. No name, no clear identity, just referred to as the Circle. Wealthy, organized, dangerous. They wanted the money my father hid. They believed someone in his family knew where it was. And since he was dead, I was the only target. My vision blurred for a moment. I forced myself to keep going. At the bottom of the folder was a handwritten note from him. "If they have reached your husband, they will use him. If he has already acted against you, do not return home. You must disappear until the person I trust finds you. Burn these documents after reading, for your life depends on secrecy." My chest tightened painfully. My world shrank to a single terrifying truth. My father had protected me for years, and the moment he died, that protection collapsed. I pulled out the smaller envelope, the one simply labeled with my name. Inside was a phone, not a normal one. A thick, old model with no apps, no internet, just calls and messages. A single number was saved under the name. Wait for this call. My throat tightened. Someone was coming for me. Someone my father trusted. Someone who could save me or lead me into a trap. I didn't even know which anymore. A vibration suddenly buzzed through my hands. The phone had turned on by itself. A message flashed across the screen. "They know you opened the vault. Leave now." My blood ran cold. Someone was watching. Someone new. I stuffed everything into my backpack, slammed the vault door shut, and bolted toward the exit, my heartbeat roaring in my ears. Whatever was waiting outside, my life would never be the same again. I ran through the corridor with the warning still burning on the phone screen. The walls felt tighter, the lights too bright, every sound sharper than it should have been. I pushed through the door into the main lobby and froze. The bank was no longer calm. Two unfamiliar men in dark clothes were speaking to the security guard. Their eyes were scanning everything, too fast, too sharp, like predators searching for prey. My stomach clenched. I didn't know them, but every instinct in my body screamed, "They're here for me." I forced myself to keep walking, head down, shoulders slouched, trying to blend into the shadows. My backpack felt impossibly heavy, filled with secrets I never asked for, but now carried like a curse. As I approached the exit, one of the men turned suddenly, his gaze slicing across the room like a blade. Our eyes met. A split second, nothing more. But enough. His face hardened, and he whispered something to the other man. I reached the door and pushed. It didn't move. Locked. The security guard hurried toward me. "Ma'am, the bank is temporarily—" I didn't let him finish. "I need to go out," I said, my voice shaking. One of the men started walking toward me. I stepped back. "Please open the door." The guard pressed his lip into a tight line. "I'm sorry, ma'am. It's after hours. Only the manager can unlock." Seconds. I only had seconds before the men reached me. Just then, Mr. Dar, the branch manager, emerged from the hallway. He saw the scene, me pressed against the glass door, two strangers closing in, and his expression shifted. But I remembered my father's words. "Trust no one." "Ma'am?" he asked cautiously. "Is everything—" "I need air," I whispered. "Please open the door." The men were only a few steps away now. I could feel their presence like a cold shadow creeping up my spine. And then, behind me the phone buzzed again. "Extreme danger. Back exit, now." I didn't think. I bolted. I ran past Mr. Dar, through a side hallway, ignoring his startled shout. The men yelled behind me, and footsteps thundered through the bank. My breath tore from my chest as I reached a narrow maintenance door. I shoved it open and burst into a dimly lit service alley behind the building. Cold night air slapped my face. I sprinted. My lungs burned, my legs shook, but fear kept pushing me. I didn't know where I was going, only away. Away from the bank, away from the men who knew too much, away from the life collapsing behind me. At the end of the alley, a black car screeched to a halt. A woman jumped out, tall, sharp eyes, dark jacket. Not someone you'd trust at first glance. But in this moment, trust wasn't a luxury. It was survival. She opened the back door, her voice urgent but controlled. "Get in if you want to live." I froze. Every nerve in my body screamed to run. Away from everyone, everything. "Who are you?" I demanded, breathless. "Your father sent me." Those words hit me like a strike to the chest. The men from the bank burst out into the alley behind me. They saw me. They started running. The woman's voice sharpened. "Now is not the time for doubt. Get in." I jumped into the car, and she slammed the door shut. Tires screeched as the car shot forward, leaving the alley and the danger behind, at least for the moment. I pressed my back into the seat, gasping for air. My heart wouldn't slow down. My hands were icy, trembling uncontrollably. The woman glanced at me through the rearview mirror. Her eyes were intense, but not unkind. "You're safe for now," she said. "But this is only the beginning." I swallowed hard. "Who are they? Why are they after me? What did my father do?" She drove through the night in silence for a few seconds before answering. "Your father saved a lot of people and ruined the plans of some very powerful ones. The Circle has been searching for him and for the money since before he died. When they realized you might know the truth, they shifted their focus." "So my husband," I whispered, my voice cracking. "Yes," she said softly. "They used him to get to you." I closed my eyes, the pain cutting deeper than any blade. Betrayal from the man I loved. Then danger, money, secrets, a father I never truly knew. "What happens now?" I whispered. The woman finally looked at me through the mirror again. Her answer was calm, steady, chilling. "Now," she said, "you survive, and we finish what your father started." The city lights flickered past the window. The night was dark, unfamiliar, dangerous. But for the first time, I wasn't running blindly.